So welcome everyone. This is Hayek Stages. It's an event where our MBA students become instructors and teach us of something that we can learn from them. And we're very excited to have today Jan Truchlinski, who, if I said that name correctly, please correct me if I didn't.
Very good, very good. I like it.
And he's going to talk about family financials. So welcome everyone. Please welcome Jan Truchlinski. Now the word is with you, Jan. Go ahead.
Okay, so hello everyone. It's great to have you all on today's Hayek Stages, a session about family financials. Like Edson said, my name is Jan Truchlinski. My background includes working in finance, IT, and IT sectors. I was also an entrepreneur, and I even managed the whole compensation finance sector in a big IT company. Yeah, that's all about me. Let's continue. As your host today, I will introduce a solid baseline for your home financials. I'm excited, to be honest, as I will share some really useful information. And my goal is nothing more than for each of you to be financially secured. Let me hear. Okay. It will be a game changer for some of you. Just be prepared. And the reality is some people realize, I'm a little bit sad about that, that when they are on the retirement, so they are 60 or above, they are financially disappointed. That's why it's so crucial to share this knowledge with you. Some of you will know half of it, some of you will know most of it. I'm glad, but probably almost all of you will not know everything. And that's why this session is, and that's why I'm here to help you out with. So let's move on. Agenda, yes. In this 1 hour, we'll learn things like 50-30-20 rule, what is a good and a bad debt, how to do a recovery plan, emergency fund, long-term portfolio, with basically a lot of other useful tips. As you see, there's a lot to cover. Therefore, let's move on. So yes, introduction. Before we move to the workshop part, let's answer this question. I need volunteers. So who wants to answer this question? I love to hear from any one of you. What's your opinion on the subject? So I'm listening. Anyone?
Let me give a pass there. So it's how you organize your family financials, and so I guess it's important because we all have different ideas of how we want to spend our money between our family, with our wives, and should we put our kids in a better school, or should we go on a vacation? And it intimately affects our lives, so it's sometimes even harder to do it inside your family than in the company, right?
Yes. Anyone else wants to add something?
I can tell you about Indian culture. We strive to arrange our finances in such a way so that the next generation is better off than us. So that my generation was far better off financially than my parents' generation, and that my kids' generation would be far better off than my generation. So it's a very family-oriented thing, is to really, frankly, amass wealth and pass it on. But if you live in Britain, the government takes away 40% of what you have when you die. So there you go. But that's another story. But that's the general idea.
Very nice.
As Edson said, yes, I went to a state school. My grandchildren go to a private school. My son is spending a fortune on them. So it's trying to incrementally go up the ladder. But that's the general idea. I suppose that's human nature. But this is very true of Indian culture.
Okay. Yeah, very good answers. Thank you for that. Yes, the family is the first and vital cell of the society. So almost everyone is part of one. Even if they are alone, they are still part of the society, whenever they live, right? So without proper finance management, the family or the one individual is vulnerable to risk and other dangers. So you have to be prepared. Let's move on. Yes, I've prepared a short workshop for everyone to attend. Mandatory. It will be in 3 groups. Each group provides an answer to one of the situations. In the next slide, you will see all the 3 situations. There will be like 5 minutes for everyone to discuss in private rooms. And then you come back with your answer regarding this situation, and yeah, and please decide who's going to be the, let's say, who will answer for the whole group, because we don't have like a lot of time, and I guess this will be the most efficient way. Edson, is it possible to make those 3 groups and basically give everyone like a seat in one of them?
Sure. Should I assign people randomly?
Okay. In that time, I'm going to share my screen. Please make a screenshot or just get familiar. I can also, give me a second. I'm also going to copy and paste it in the chat for anyone that doesn't have the way to. Okay. Let me go back to the full presentation. Okay. So yeah, those are the 3 situations. All of them are different. That's the whole point. So please get familiar with them, and when you get the assignment to the group.
Yeah, and I would just ask you for help. I put you as the host. Now, could you put me as co-host so I can help you?
Okay.
I made a mistake here. Okay. So 3 breakout rooms. Is it clear for everyone?
Yes, I think so.
Yes,
Okay.
for 5 minutes, you are going to be the financial advisors discussing groups, and I want to hear some solutions to every one of those situations.
So I'm going to open the rooms now, and you can just click on the blue button when it comes to the screen. And if you're in room 1, you do group 1, group 2, room 2, and 3. Discussion number 3. And Jan, if you want, you can go inside the rooms just to help make sure things are clear for the people.
Of course, let me join. Okay. You know what? If I stop, if I join, it would stop sharing the screen. So
you can. There's a possibility for you to share the screen inside the room. Let me see. So Techno, Anthony, and Wise Up. Do you see a blue screen? Do you see a blue button in your screen? Hello, Victoria. Welcome.
I moved Victoria to the room 3.
Okay.
The rest of the crew should explain her the rules of the game.
Okay. Let me.
It's better that I don't join because I have the answers in my head. So it's
Yeah,
better.
just let me just go inside the rooms to see if people understand what's going on.
Okay. Sounds good. I will stay here.
Okay.
Save money and cut out his comfort expenses. And in the fullness of time, that will impress a young girl. He can then get married and get settled. But
Yeah.
He's being very silly, I think.
Well, I think he is young. That's why 30%. Yeah, I mean foolish, young and foolish. But I think we all go through the stage like this.
I agree.
Companies and a big company, they have 1K, okay, in 30, they have their own house with mortgage loan, they have 60K of saving, and their basic expenses are purely including all that, and they have saving budget left each month equal around 10K, and don't know what to do with it.
Sounds like a good situation for me.
Mm.
I don't think it should be that complicated. And they don't have any savings, yeah.
Hello.
Hi, Edson.
Oh, Edson.
Are directions clear?
Yeah, I mean, we have to come up with an advice for the family, right?
Yeah, probably what you would do with that situation.
Yeah. Any other ideas? Patricia, Mohammed, Andre?
I think that the main idea is that it would just establish that they must, the wife must go through a job, any income, it would be better than anything.
Yeah.
Their situation, so they can save some money. At least pay the bills.
Exactly.
Try to pay the bills.
As far as the expenses go, I don't know what to say about that, because, I mean, they have kids. I think things get more complicated with kids.
Agree. Definitely agree.
Correct. Okay. Over to you.
Yeah. So we say 5 to 10%. Can we agree to this on
Agree.
comfort?
I agree.
Okay, cool.
Why don't
Let's
we
see.
see techno? Come on. Cameron, is it?
I'm not sure.
Is he not responding? Maybe he has a problem with his, or maybe in a meeting, we never know.
Okay. We should be able to go back to the main room, don't we?
Yeah, and Jan will tell us when, and then you come back. Until then, just prepare your answer or talk about life. I'll see what's going on with Jan. Whenever you
Okay.
are.
Okay, we can stop. I mean, we can start bringing people
You can bring them
back to the main room. Yeah.
Okay,
5 minutes passed, so
sure. I'll bring them back.
please do.
Hello, Patricia.
Hello.
Hi.
This is Jan. People were in the breakout rooms. Now they're coming back to have a discussion here.
Okay. I'm a little late because I'm at work now. We were at a field trip with our 3, 4, and 5-year-old students.
Oh, fantastic. Where did they go to?
We went to the Geociência Museum at Brazil University here.
Ah, fantastic. Very cool. So we're discussing family savings, and he gave 3 scenarios, and people were discussing how to treat these scenarios. Now they're coming back.
Yes.
Thank you.
Can't wait to hear answers.
All right, so people are back. Go ahead. The floor is yours again, Jan.
Hello back. So let's start with group one. Who would want to present from group one?
Should we stop sharing the screen so we can see them? Or should
Yeah,
we
we
leave it
can.
there?
I mean, we can stop. Let me just.
You can
stop
probably
sharing.
copy it in the chat so everyone can see it, and then we let the group show.
Okay. It's in the questions are. I mean, the groups are in the chat. So.
Group one. Who was group one?
So group one was me, Monica, we had Mohammed, and Andre. Had this first situation, and the thing that we consider that it's a must for this family is that the wife should have a job. She should find a job for herself, so they can save some money, especially because they have kids. And there's a lot going on when you have kids, and you can't predict really real situations. So it would be awesome if she had a job, any job, just to pay the bills and have some savings that they don't have right now.
Okay, great. Thank you for the answer. Let's move on to group two. Who would like to present?
I would speak for group two. It was I was lucky to be with Amit, so we're both from this looking from the same perspective. We agreed straight away that Ben is in a very good situation. He's living alone. He's got no debts, therefore he can achieve a lot. His comfort expenses are 70%, which we agreed it's definitely too much. And by cutting comfort expenses, he can afford to save some money and buy a house and maybe start a family if this is what he wishes. I would say the comfort expenses should be no more than 5 to 10% on this occasion.
Okay, very nice. Thank you for the answer. Let's move on to group three. Who would like to present for group three?
Hey, Anthony. So I would like to present. I was with Hannah and Joseph, and yeah. So basically, the situation is a very good situation. They have one kid. 70% of their income every month they can put it in saving and don't know what to do with it. I would advise them, but that's a maybe. They can really stay in that situation. They can also, if they want more, because their kid is 15, is going to study, maybe abroad. So, so maybe invest in the startup company, invest in the company, or start your own company. They're both working in a good company, but maybe that wasn't their goal. Maybe their goal was to create their own company. They want to work for the company to get experience, and then start their new venture. And they are really in a good situation to do that with the amount of saving that they have on the side. So they can really stay in the same situation. They have enough to do anything. But if they have a dream and they want to accomplish something, they're really in a good situation to go a step further and invest or start their own company.
Yes, correct. Very nice answer, Anthony. Thank you. Let me again share the presentation. Okay, please just confirm that you can see it.
You can see.
Okay. So let's move on. First of all, thank you for your answers. You've done a great job. As you see, it's not always easy to manage your financials, and depending on the situation, you might need to act differently, right? So I'm going to cover a general approach. Of course, there are different policies, laws, cultures, markets, and so on, depending on the location. Of course, it is what it is, right? That's why it's crucial to not forget about it when basically you are going to implement the general rules that I provide today. So let's move on. Yes, first thing, so where do you stand? So first, nothing comes without a mature decision to change something in your life. You have to take control of your finances. I say be the driver of your life, not the passenger. It's crucial to be aware that if you do not do anything, no one will do it for you. Next, when you realize it, let's say you did that, you want to do a change, you have to think about who is contributing to the income of your family and who is the consumer. Yeah. Next, make a financial self-assessment. Okay. Basically, it's an assessment where you try to understand your finances. There's a lot of resources with financial self-assessment available online. I'm not going to share any of them, but for most locations, like they have their own financial websites where you can find a lot of information regarding local finance and law. So yeah, that's regarding the, let's say, financial self-assessment. You can even do it with your members of your family if you like. So yeah, next, discuss it with your family. Communication is key. It's important to discuss and realize together where you stand at the moment and where you want to be in the future. It's crucial to discuss assumptions as they might lead to misunderstandings. Be true to yourself and be realistic. There's also something like cognitive dissonance. It refers to a situation involving conflicting attitudes, beliefs, or behaviors. I'm not going to cover it as it's a separate topic on its own, but feel free to check it. Anyway, in the end, it's all about you and your family, or if you are alone, about you. If you are alone, you might consider speaking with other trustworthy family members, wherever they are, or friends. If you do not have anyone, well, no worries. Be strong and positive and focus on your goals. Remember that sensitive data should only be shared with people you really trust. Do not share your financial situation with anyone you do not trust. That's a very important rule. Next, ask yourself where you and your family want to be. So make a forecast. In planning ahead, you have short-term financial goals, mid-term financial goals, and long-term financial goals. Let's start with short-term. So these are smaller financial targets that can be reached within a year. This includes things like a new television, computer, or even family vacations. Next, we have mid-term financial goals. Typically, mid-term goals take about 5 years to achieve. A little more expensive than an everyday goal, they are still achievable with discipline and hard work. Paying off a credit card balance, a loan, or savings for a down payment on a car are all mid-term goals. Now we have long-term financial goals. This type of goal usually takes much more than 5 years to achieve. Some examples of long-term goals are saving for college, education, retirement, new home. There's one more thing important to add. When I'm going to speak about short, mid, long term, but regarding financial assets, it's for short term, it will be 3 years. For mid term, it will be from 3 to 10 years. And for long term financial assets, it's a decade or more. So just please be aware of that. Those are two different things. Next, compare the forecast and your financial statement. Remember to discuss the results and include risk. So prepare for both known knowns and known unknowns. Known knowns are the risks you are aware of. Known unknowns are risks that you know exist, but can't precisely analyze their potential impact. In general, for known knowns, you can act proactively and reactively. And for known unknowns, mostly only reactive. So let's move on to toxic debt. So let's start from top. Owning money on credit card is one of the most common types of bad debt. Credit cards are issued by lenders and are allowed to make purchases on credit. These cards can come with high interest rates. It might be a great credit tool in your financial strategy. Yes, it can, but I do not recommend it for beginners. For anyone who does not know how to manage it properly, basically. So you do not use it at the beginning, okay? Next, we have loan shark deals. Yes, this type of lenders, I may say, are individuals you may know personally all through your network that offer lend money without background check or credit reports, sometimes illegal, sometimes mafia. So even friends, like I said, that offer you help with a high interest rate. So yeah, watch out for those. Bad friends, bad friends. Next, we have bank loans, cash loan, and cash loans, let's say. This is another common type of bad debt. Let me make it precise here. Banks offer you fast cash, but with a high interest rate. There are smart banks loans, and sometimes you need to take it. But I will mention it in the good debt section. But overall, you should avoid it as banks are not your friend. There are not a lot of friends in the financial world. Sorry, that's the truth. You have to realize it. Auto loans, when you buy a car, especially a new one, it loses a lot of value at the moment you drive it from the car park. Unless you need a car urgently, it's not recommended, as car is not an investment in most cases. If you are a taxi driver, yes, it might be an investment. But for most of you, like if you have one car, try to utilize it as best as possible. Do not like buy the third one, fourth one, fifth one, or buy a motorbike with it and think, no, do not do that, okay? There are more types of toxic debt, of course, but the rule is for toxic debt that all types of toxic debt carry interest rates so high that you end up repaying 2 or 3 times what you borrowed. If either of the following situations apply to you, investigate options for debt relief, which can include bankruptcy or debt management plans, okay? Let's move on to good debt. Yes, small business expenses, knowledge investments. If you invest, does not matter if it's on your small business or self-development, usually those debts will be repaired over time. So if your business succeeds or because of acquired knowledge, you get a better job, it will increase your income over time and you will be able to repay the debt. In addition, you have mortgage loan, real estate. They are a great way to invest. Homes can retain or even increase value over time, adding to your net worth or even simply providing a roof to live under. It also includes renting or out properties or buying properties and selling for a profit. There are, of course, more. I'm not going to cover like the niche ones, so let's move on. Yes, now, what to do? Let's start with the 50-30-20 rule. It's a rule how to distribute your family budget. Your family budget is the total income of you and your family members after taxes. So budget equals total income after taxes. So let's start from the top. 50% of the budget should go to mandatory expenses. Mandatory expenses are expenses that enable you to live. Examples are rent, a mortgage, car payments like fuel, gas, electricity, phone bills, groceries, and so on and so forth. 30% of the budget should go to comfort enjoyment expenses, hobbies, holidays, going to the cinema, and among few examples. 20% of the budget should go to paying down debt and building wealth. That's the basics. That's the basics. However, depending on your situation, the proportion should also be changed accordingly. Let's make 3 examples. For poor or in debt, so very poor people all in debt, usually 18%, so almost all, go to the first one, which is mandatory expenses. Now, if possible, this kind of people should cut all the enjoyment expenses, all of them. And 20%, which I recommend as minimum, move to building your wealth. So the strategy should be decrease the mandatory expenses as fast as possible, and in the same time, increase the budget responsible for building wealth. When we are talking about middle class, so people that do not have toxic debt and have a stable finance situation, let's say. Now here there applies the 50-30-20 rule, right? But you want to focus again on the managing expenses to go to perfectly 30% of your budget should go to mandatory expenses, 20% of it should go to enjoyment expenses, and 50% or over, obviously, if you have a better situation, on building wealth. So I would focus on reducing the mandatory expenses and, if possible, comfort expenses. Now, for people that are usually have a lot of free cash each month, or are simply rich, usually the mandatory expenses is 10% or less. So as you can see, they have a lot to work with. I would advise to do 10% on the comfort expenses at the beginning, and 80%, almost all your richness, go to investment, almost all of it, like immediately for minimum 10 years. Then after you do that, you will have something like 10 or less percent. And now it's the fun part. When you do that, after those 10, 15 years, you can you can half of your budget, something like 49%, 50, 55% of the budget can go to comfort. That's why you see rich people walking around with all those kinds of fancy stuff, because they've done the homework, because they've done the proper management of their budget, and now they can ride this car and the poor people see it and they want to apply the same rules. But as you can see, you cannot apply the same budget rules. And that obviously the rest, so something like 50 or less percent goes again to investment. You still invest, even through the generations. So to conclude, so depending on situation, those numbers might be a little different. Obviously, it is what it is. The overall rule is that you should keep your mandatory expenses as low as possible, but never should be more than 50%. Have it in your head, no more than 50%, okay? In most situations, for the next 10 years, cut comfort expenses half, cut them. Right now, think about it, cut it at half. It will be worth it in the long term. Remember that economic growth or economic decline is a long process, and over time you will face both. In your long period of lifespan, you will face both. Now we're facing like decline, but there will be growth. And in both, you have to be, for both, you have to be prepared. Now we have a revolution, by the way, probably a bit as big as the industrial revolution, which is the AI revolution. So if you would, so be smart and prepare for it. So let's move on to emergency fund. Yes. So recovery plan part 2. So what do we do with free money? Okay, you're building wealth, you have this bank account, you're getting this money into the bank account. Okay, what to do? So we start emergency fund, which is mandatory. 6 to 12 months of cash savings. The money needs to for you to survive for half a year as a bare minimum. This money that you save. I recommend doing a separate bank account for it. To not combine it with your monthly income. So like a different deposit account or saving account, something like that. So when paying toxic debt, even when paying toxic debt, you must start to build the foundations for an emergency fund at the same time. So that means that no matter what, it's one of the things you do at the beginning. Why? If just realize the situation, if you only focus on paying toxic debt, there might be another emergency in the same time, and you will again have to take more debt. That's why you have to do it that way and not another. So the strategy here is 25% of cash goes to deposit saving account. You need fast access to cash in case something happens. So that's what you do. 75%. Okay, now you have options here. Of cash goes to retail inflation indexed government bonds. All saving money for a flat home also might be considered and go to the saving account. So own contribution for the first apartment. So just to explain, retail inflation indexed government bonds are provided by the government. It gives more profit return than saving accounts. That's just what it is. However, yes, it's long term. So 10 years, like I said, long term assets, 10 years or more, decade, 2 decades. And yes, you will have to pay a fee if you want to get it from your account, emergency, which is more than 20%, the 25% of what cash that you have. Then you have to take it, obviously, but it's still more optimal and recommended solution. Okay, and now something spicy for those that want to dig deeper. You can also consider a more complicated portfolio, which include in those 75. Remember, this 25, leave it alone, cash only, it's there waiting. 3 months bonds, so short-term bonds, foreign currencies, you can consider those. Short-term treasury bonds listed on the market, indexed bonds, inflation, so they're protected with inflation, from inflation, and gold, investment gold. Not like everything, 75% in gold or 75% in bonds. No. I would do this a similar approach that you will get in the long-term portfolio. I'm going to mention it later. You can apply the same percentages, and you will be fine. Like I said, depending on your location, you might change the emergency fund, assets, amount. But if you don't know anything, and just want to do it as simple as possible, do the 25-75 split, where 75 is basically the mentioned bonds. It's easy. Just check what government has at the moment. If you don't have this type of bonds, well, it happens, like restrictions, locations, do 100% in saving account. However, make sure that bank is insured in the event of bankruptcy. So check the policy of the bank if this amount of cash is insured. So if they collapse, you will get the money back. And you have this very advantageous situation there that you have a lot of cash. You should obviously 25% of it, it's free for emergency, but you have the 75% of also cash, which is in the saving account. And there you can seek for financial opportunities, okay? And you can use this cash for financial opportunities because there are a lot of good opportunities in both when market is collapsing and market is growing. And you can jump in with the cash immediately. But yeah, this is something for the investors, guys here that want to get more digging and so on and so forth. So let's move on. Yes, portfolios, long-term portfolio. So what to do after recovery? You have it. You have this emergency fund. What to do? Maybe you also have a good debt. So what next? Long-term portfolios is the answer. You should not trust your government, not trust. I repeat it a lot of times, non-government in the world. They think that with only your basic retirement package, you will have a wealthy life. No, you will not. You will not. Usually the forecast is not so positive, and it's basically giving away control over your life to other people. We don't want that, do we? Like politics changing every 5-10 years, changing this, changing that. Come on, you are going to trust it? No, you are not going to trust it. That's why you were listening to me, and please do this approach, okay? Don't regret it in 30, 40 years. This portfolio should be aligned with your long-term growth, like retirement. Like I said, it's only applicable after recovery plan. It's mandatory. And most wealth savings should go here. Basically, you are doing a better job with forecasting your future than any government will do for you. Remember that you need to open a brokerage account, or if you have a possibility, tax advantage account. It's a topic on its own, so I'm not going to cover it. Please research it on your own. We don't have time, basically. You can always contact me. But it's good to mention it. By the way, I also recommend to use an app for investors. There are a lot of applications for investors help you out go started with investing. There are a lot of them on the market, so I will not promote any. Okay, going back to what is the structure of this portfolio? So 50% goes to real estate for rent. If you don't have enough cash, obviously, like I said, you grow a little bit more your emergency fund, and then you jump in with a good debt. You take good debt, and that can support an investment because real estate is very safe. It gives a stable profit, and yeah, like I said, this is for the portfolio you put when you are able stable, don't have toxic debt, and so on and so forth. So yeah, what about the next, the other 50%? Okay, yeah, that goes to assets. What kind of assets? Excuse me. So this is, give me a second. Okay, something jump. Okay, 5% goes to invest gold. I'm not going to explain what this is. Like 20 years from the back. This is a forecast from 20 years from global market. I'm not going to go into economic talk about it. Why is it the way it is? This is a simple portfolio that works. You should get something about 4% of return every year. And this is calculated based on 20 years with a lot of specialists. I'm not going to go into it. I'm also going to mention you can modify it, of course. So 5% goes to investment goals. If you are like a investment dummy, don't want to spend time, this is what you do. 10% goes to treasury bonds listed on markets. 15% goes to foreign shares. Well, 7.5 goes to developed markets. US, Japan, China probably not, but France, England. So, and 7.5 goes to emerging markets. So, for example, Poland might be a market like that, and so on and so forth. 20% goes to inflation-indexed treasury bonds. Again, those are treasury bonds that are protected from inflation, and you can check it out. You should have it available. Yeah, and regarding the treasury bonds, remember to only invest in top economist markets in the world. We don't want to invest in Vietnam or you know, I don't want to not say anything wrong about those countries, but it's too risky. This is something you do in the other portfolio I'm going to mention. So you might do your own modifications, but if you are not a finance expert, I recommend doing the portfolio I mentioned above. So like I said, no matter the market scenarios, so if there's a high inflation, low inflation, you don't really care. You should have a stable rate of return. If something tragic happens, like total collapses in one of the assets, you will never lose everything. That's what we want. We want to be protected with this portfolio. So let's move on. Yes, and this is the second portfolio, which is offensive casino portfolio. This is another type of portfolio. I call them casino portfolios. is you only invest free money here. So instead of going to the cinema, instead of going to the more expensive holidays, you invest money in this portfolio. So even if you lose everything, it will not affect you, not at all. Your savings are saved, right? Because you have this emergency fund, you have this long-term portfolio. You don't care. You lost it. That's why this portfolio is full. It's not mandatory. If you don't have the time, effort, and knowledge, which is very important, just focus on your long-term portfolio. Just grow it, sink into it, and you will be just fine. I recommend it only for people that want to be an investor. Be prepared to make mistakes here. So do not start big. Start with small sums, and you will make mistakes. You will make mistakes, but that's the whole point of being an investor. You make mistakes, you learn from them, and you then decide on your next move. So there's something like, don't be the grateful theory follower. This is from the Intelligent Investor book by Benjamin Graham, which I strongly recommend to read if you want to go this route, okay? So overall, this book is about, like I can say, is it is first analyze the stocks you want to invest, the company you want to invest, everything. The guys from Hayek, the students from Hayek have advantage because they took part in business street smarts, where the professor basically provided the whole due diligence. So how to do it, basically. Then think about safety. How safe those assets are. How safe is this country, and so on and so forth. You have to analyze this, understand the politics, see how much. That's a big time investment. And then, and only when you finish those two, you think about profit. No, everyone thinks about profit first without doing the two which come before it. So please do not think about profit when doing this portfolio. Think about, I will analyze a lot, I want to learn, then focus on safety, then do about profit, okay? Otherwise, it's just gambling, nothing else. Gambling, you're just gambling. You can go to the casino and do the same. Examples of asset that you would consider in this portfolio, it's flips. So buy, sell flat homes. This is for someone that has a lot of cash. Participation units of high yield funds, investment in land, stocks and bonds, but less like smaller markets, right? And cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency is something very risky and something you need a lot of knowledge to be even profitable. So let's move on.
Yeah, and just a heads up, we have 7 minutes left.
Yeah, so it will be fast. Risk appetite. So you have to ask yourself the following questions. What is your ability to take risk? This is an objective question resulting mainly from the assets held. So basically risk is ask yourself some questions. Where is your propensity to take risk? This is subjective question resulting from genes, acquired expenses, knowledge, and even temporary well-being. So basically, you have to remember that you have to ask yourself, do you are able to take risk or not? So you have to feel comfortable with risk level. If your portfolio is too risky for your risk appetite, so your nerves, you will be afraid and make the wrong decision in times of market turmoil. So yeah, my tips. I have a lot of them. Let's cover some basic one. The main one, before investing, you must research, due diligence. If you don't have the knowledge about assets or market, do not invest. Never gambling. Always review your portfolio annually as bare minimum and use tools for investors. Remember to adjust the percentages. If something downgraded, you invest in other and some things like that. Don't trust your government or banking advisors, especially banking advisors. I see you. Or financial gurus. I don't care about, they don't care about your wealth. Avoid high interest rates when taking debt. Control, how to be rich in a nutshell, I can tell you, it's control expenses, increase earnings, invest surpluses. So yeah, always read contract terms, take your time, always reward yourself, be active on social media, have friends because they can help you out. So yeah, that's like overall. So in sum, no matter what, if your is your financial situation, there always is a way out. Avoid toxic debt, focus on recovery plan, build an emergency fund as fast as possible. You can make more portfolios, short, mid, long, obviously, but this requires more knowledge, time. If you have it, go ahead. The long-term portfolio is your pension and legacy for future generations is mandatory. The offensive portfolios where you learn to be a true investor and risk taker, not mandatory. Ignore if you don't have the knowledge, don't have the time. Losers on this portfolio are acceptable. Yeah. And in the end, thank you for your time and big thanks to Hayek Global College for the opportunity to be the host of today's Hayek stages. I see that we are running out of time. So yes, questions. And before that, I will, because you are so great listeners, first of all, here's the form. Feedback form if you want to provide a feedback. Here's a fast small bonus. If someone didn't down the notes, voila, this is the notes for you from me. They are very short. If you want more knowledge, you have to ask me on, obviously on LinkedIn, and let me know. And yeah, we'll do something about it. So yeah, any questions? I know there's the time running. I tried to cover it. It's a very big topic, to be honest, but I covered the basics. So yeah, please let me know what questions you might have. I have time for 2 questions, so go ahead.
Does anybody have questions?
Yeah, a lot of knowledge at once.
People congratulating. I have a comment, Jan. You said something that I like to tell people too. So not trust the banking advisors. And I thought it was something about Brazil, but apparently it's in Poland and it could be everywhere in the world, right? Banking advisors just trying to sell.
Yeah, banking advisors are sellers. Marketing is basically marketing as a subject is like making by using emotional part, like by emotions, making people buy your stuff. So banking is no different. And there are a lot of financial gurus, by the way. How financial gurus work? Everyone's forecasting, everyone's guessing and gambling. And there's one gambler that's super lucky. He invested a lot and get a lot of return. And what does he do? He is trying to be a financial guru and explain to everyone how he done it. And the truth is he just gambled. So I hate those people. They people are doing bad reputation for financial advisors, and hopefully people will understand, like the banking advisors, gurus, do not trust them, and do not trust the government. Sorry, but that's true. Do not trust them, and you should be more proactive and do the research, and yeah, and take your time. So
yeah, fantastic. Anybody has any last question?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Just an observation. I agree with everything you've said. Yeah, stay clear of these financial advisors. In Britain, this was the biggest scam a few years ago. They were selling products that gave them the maximum commission, and they were not the products that necessarily the best financial products for their clients. And when they got caught, the government had to set aside billions of pounds to compensate them. And another very quick remark I'll make is I read somewhere, you know, the American actor Woody Allen. He said a stockbroker will help you spend all your money on the stock market. It's never trust them. I agree.
Very true.
Okay.
That's the reality, and hopefully with this presentation, people will be more aware of how it works. And to be honest, all those everyone, like all those corporations, they want to dig to the families, to their finances. That's why you have to protect it very well, and that's one of the methods. That's the way to do it, basically. And hopefully this opened eyes for some of you, and hopefully a lot of you will use it in their real lives. If you have more questions, like I said, I'm on LinkedIn. You can also contact Edson, contact Hayek Global College if you want to like be a student there. Obviously, there's a lot of knowledge, there's a lot of things. Obviously, I try to cover as much as possible in this 1 hour. This topic is more bigger than you can realize, but with this, if you have this, if you have all of this, if you have this in your mind, that will be enough. That will be enough to proceed with confidence and be more prepared for the upcoming years. Like I said, we have AI revolution. There's the ongoing war in Ukraine. There's a lot of things going on. You have to be prepared. The markets are going, the markets are decreasing. And you have to make a very stable situation for yourself. Start yourself. Don't listen to government policies. Like, you focus on the family first, and if you have this cleared, you have a cleared mind, wake up and you will realize that you have this part of your life is stable. The financial part, believe me, will have easier time think about other things like children, knowledge, or hobbies. You'll have a better basically rest of your life. And you awaken right now with me, and not when you are going to be 60 and realize that the government lied to you and your retirement is just sad and you have to ask your children for help. Thank you very much.
Okay,
thank you again. And I hope I helped as much as possible.
Thank you. Thank you,
That's
Jan.
all from my side.
Thank you. It was a fantastic presentation. I learned a lot today. Hope everyone else also learned.
Yeah.
Next week, when's it going to be, Dasha, your Hayek stages?
We were thinking something closer to 20th of April, like not next week, but maybe in
20th of April. Okay, so it's 20th of April. We're going to have Hayek stages with Dasha. She's Ukrainian, living in Egypt. And what are you going to talk on?
We're going to talk about leadership. What is that, how to do it, and why we need it. So,
awesome. So here's
great
the cliffhanger.
Great subject.
We're going to have another great subject. And if you signed up today, you're going to receive it by email. And hope to see you there. And just let's just do a screenshot with everyone here so we can put it on social media. I also put my LinkedIn and Jan's over there, so feel free to add us. And if anyone else wants to share LinkedIn in the comments, please do. And let's take the screenshots. Bye, everyone. All right, great to see you here. Thank you. Thank you. One more. Right. Okay.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, guys.
Thank you, everyone.
See you next time.
Have a great rest of the day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.